Hey everyone, JohnnyDayTrackAvenue.com here. Today I'm going to show you how to open one of these style cartridges with the, I call it a rivet. I'm sure there's a more technical name for it. But what you'll do first is the way that the label is wrapped on here, you'll need to cut the label right here. So otherwise it's not going to open up properly. So I'm going to cut the label with a razor blade here, one-sided razor blade. Always cut away from yourself. Yeah, use one of these. Then I'm going to take a chip clip. This is very important. Now, some people will use a clothespin with rubber bands on it. The important thing is that you're putting outward pressure on the cart halves here. So this is putting pressure on both the top and the bottom cart half. Then I'm going to take a soldering iron. And then all I'm going to do, let's see if I can get this in the frame here. All I'm going to do is I'm going to press the tip of the soldering iron onto this metal rivet. And some of these are easier than others. Sometimes the rivet will heat up and just start pushing further into the plastic. If that happens, you're going to need to alternate between using the heat like this and then using something like, I like to use snap ring pliers. You would need to go in and use snap ring pliers to pry it a little bit, go back, apply the heat, etc. The red ones can be the most difficult because they also seem to be glued in some way. But anyway, so you just hold this, and then the halves here should start to separate. I'm trying a different camera angle here, and it's not working as well as I had hoped. But anyway, so we'll keep this here. It's starting to separate. You see that? You're letting the chip clip do most of the work for you. Boom. So now we're open. And then you're going to remove the rivet with a pair of pliers. This is going to be very hot, so make sure wherever you set this, it's somewhere where it's not going to burn whatever you set it on. So it's going to need to cool down. Okay, I'm going to remove this so I can show you this better. But after you have removed that rivet, before you put them back, after you service your cart and before you put the cart halves back together, oftentimes when you use this method, it will create a small lip right here from the heat on that rivet will cause the plastic to melt a little bit here. What I do is I very carefully use the blade from a utility knife and put some pressure on that, downward pressure on that, and scrape that lip off, because what will happen sometimes is when you put the cart halves back together, that little lip will cause things to not go down the way it should. Like it'll cause a gap here. So I like to remove that plastic until there's no gap and things are nice and flush when I put it back together. Make sure you line the hinges up properly. There's these little, I call them a hinge. The top half of the cart has a groove in it, and the bottom half has these little hooks, and they have to sit inside these properly on the top half, or it will not close right. So make sure that you get these. And sometimes they line up really well, easily. Sometimes the mold was off, and it takes some doing to get things lined up. But once they're lined up properly, it will fold shut like that. And then what I like to do is, instead of replacing the rivet, I use a number 6 Phillips wood screw, 3/4 inch long. These are perfect. They will fit They're the perfect size for the hole where the rivet was at. They will grip the plastic well to pull the top and bottom half together and hold them tight. And they also have this flange on the top here, which will fit perfectly inside where the rivet was. You do not want, if you replace it with a screw, you don't want the top of the screw hanging outside of this hole, because it'll impede getting the cartridge into the player. There's not much clearance. So this number 6 Phillips flathead screw will work perfectly. It goes in nice and easy, pulls everything together tightly. There. So everything is nice and flush. And it's also nice and flush. I don't know if you can come on focus there. It's nice and flush here. It's not sticking up, so it will not impede anything when you go to put it in your player. Also with these, if you have never replaced the sensing foil on these and you're going to play it, the foil will break during the first play. So you need to either set your machine to automatically eject when it gets to the end of, let's say you set it to eject at the end of track 2. Or if you don't have a machine with automatic eject, even if you do have the automatic eject, say you put it on track 2, be aware of what the last song of track 2 is. So play the tape after you've done your servicing and stuff. Play the tape. Keep an eye on what song you're on, and when you get to the last song of track 2, be ready to pull the tape out as soon as that song is over. So that way, and then, it's best to hand advance it to the foil. In this scenario where you get it to the last song's over, you pull it out and then hand advance it to the foil. Otherwise, be ready to pull the tape out. If you leave it in for the auto eject, be ready to pull it out when the last song ends here. Because if you leave it in and the foil breaks, it can get eaten. So that's how I do it, is like I said, I put it on track 2, keep an eye on when the last song is done, and then pull it out so that it doesn't break in a way to where it starts getting wrapped around the capstan shaft. So just a little tidbit of information there. Hopefully you found that useful.